deeply unsettling video was posted to a YouTube channel by the name of Hassan Barbar, documenting his walkthrough of an abandoned property said to be haunted. Locals apparently believe the place is crawling with paranormal activity. As he makes his way through the building, he stumbles upon a number of disturbing details, among them what appears to be the aftermath of some kind of ritual left behind in one of the rooms.
شو الألعاب هاي؟ شو؟ أوف. وين؟ طبعا البيت هذا انت غمرت فيه 3 مرات يا حمد صح؟ وينك انت؟ وينك؟ اذا انت هون اظهر لي.
Things appear relatively calm at first, but just a short while into the footage, something deeply strange and terrifying unfolds. Keep your eyes locked on the screen.
في شو وراي؟ بسم الله الرحمن. شو مالك؟ شو مالك؟ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا أحمد. أحمد شو بيصير؟ أحمد بسم الله نزلوا 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 نزلوا. أحمد بسم الله بسم الله برد رجله. أحمد بسم الله. أحمد نزلوا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد.
Up to this point, he hasn't sensed anything unusual, and the surroundings look completely ordinary. But the moment he steps into the next room, he's hit with pure shock. His friend is there, suspended upside down by his ankles in a completely inexplicable way. Baffled and clearly frightened, he can't seem to make sense of what he's seeing. The clip ends on a truly spine-tingling note, with the sound of a woman's scream piercing through the silence and sending the dread levels through the roof. It's undeniably creepy footage, though not everyone online was convinced. Plenty of viewers showed up in the comments with their skepticism. So what do you make of it? Drop your take down below.
أحمد بسم الله نزلوا 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 نزلوا. أحمد بسم الله بسم الله برد رجله. أحمد بسم الله. أحمد نزلوا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد.
Gary Bruce was a father who'd built a reputation on heartwarming family content, but 2 of his uploads were anything but wholesome. Something was haunting his household. On May 26, 2009, he's jolted awake in the middle of the night by an unsettling sound coming from his living room. He grabs his phone and hits record. In his own words, "I have never seen anything like this. My wife and I were woken up by the sound of a door closing. This footage is everything I managed to capture before we got out. What his camera picked up will send a chill straight down your spine." The door handle rotates by itself, as though someone on the other side is trying to get through, yet nobody is there. A draft could be a reasonable explanation for some people, but the second clip blows that idea apart entirely. On July 11th, 2009, while Jerry is filming his young son, something deeply disturbing unfolds, something that defies any rational explanation.
Whoa!
A closet door slowly swings open on its own, and moments later, a toy flips over without anyone touching it. It's almost as if whatever is lurking inside that closet is stumbling its way toward the child. Jerry panics, scoops up his son, and bolts from the room. So what exactly is tormenting this family? A malicious spirit, or something far more sinister? Whatever it is, the dread it leaves behind is impossible to dismiss. A man was home alone with his daughter when something about one of her dolls caught his eye and unsettled him enough that he pulled out his camera to document it. He was convinced that the spirit of a young girl who had previously lived in the house was responsible for the strange activity they'd been experiencing.
Nah, get out of here, man. But at least y'all caught that part. Yo.
He could feel some kind of unknown entity moving through the space and panned the camera around, trying to track it, until, out of nowhere, one of the dolls began behaving in a way it shouldn't have.
What is that? See, it ain't my daughter because she's snapping right there on the bed. It sounds like her closet door fell. Try not to wake her up.
Mid-recording, something stopped him cold. He could hear movement throughout the room, yet his daughter was fast asleep, and he was the only person awake in the house. It sounded exactly like someone was playing with his daughter's toys, which was deeply unsettling, given that no child or adult was anywhere in sight.
I don't know what that was, though. Whatever it was not even making her up. Nah. Come on, man, she's in here sleeping. Come on, man. You need to get out of her room. I'm telling you, that thing was closed, right? Come on, man. Why is she sleeping? Man, I am good. I'm not. You need to get out of her room.
Even as he continued filming and kept a close eye on his daughter, the sounds didn't let up. Toys were still being interacted with by something he couldn't see. He walked through the space and tried ordering whatever was there to leave, but nothing he attempted seemed to have any effect.
Play somewhere else. What the heck?
Growing increasingly anxious, he kept talking to it directly, pleading with it to take its activity somewhere else. That didn't work either, and that's where the footage cuts out. One commenter pointed out that the dolls looked just like Annabelle. Another said the whole thing gave them serious chills. So what's your take? On December 7th, 2022, a deeply unsettling video appeared on a YouTube channel called Fickelberg12, a channel that has sat completely dormant ever since. In the footage, a young man was filming a casual vlog with a friend at Oakland Cemetery in Atlanta. Things seemed perfectly ordinary at first, right up until the moment something bone-chilling crept into frame and shattered the mood entirely. See for yourself.
I think this happens like every year around this time. It's so weird. It's like at a cemetery. And up here you have the Christmas carolers. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. And then, right behind me, let me watch my step here. Oh, give me 1 second.
As he swung the camera back toward his own face, a ghostly pale visage could be spotted lurking behind a building in the background, staring out with an expression that looked disturbingly vacant. What makes it even stranger is that despite being posted to YouTube just a few years back, the footage has a quality that feels ripped straight out of the early 2000s, strongly hinting it was actually recorded long before it ever went online. After digging deep into the details, I found that the clip was reportedly salvaged from an old camera, discovered in a pile of junk, and then posted by someone whose identity remains unknown. Not for views or revenue, but seemingly to bring some kind of hidden truth to light. The whole thing carries that unmistakable urban legend energy. After all, someone chasing clout doesn't upload one video and then vanish without a trace. And while a cemetery is technically a public place where anyone could wander, this particular setting feels anything but normal. It radiates something dark and paranormal. The channel itself was created on December 6th, 2022. The video went up just 2 days later, and nothing has been posted since. It feels like whoever uploaded it had one purpose: to expose a disturbing secret, whether that's a restless spirit caught on film or something far harder to explain. What's your take? Late one night, a home security camera recorded a woman pulling up to her house, and what she spotted outside sent her sprinting through her front door in pure terror. See for yourself what unfolded. There's a figure walking along, and trailing right beside it appears to be some kind of detached shadow moving in sync with it. Now, the footage quality isn't great, but here's the thing. The figure that's farther from the camera and the light source actually looks more defined than the one that's closer, which makes no sense if poor resolution were the only explanation. You can clearly make out the closer guy swinging his arms, but even after the footage is brightened up, that second thing walking alongside him has absolutely no discernible detail whatsoever. What makes this even harder to dismiss is that the woman witnessed this with her own eyes in real time, and it clearly shook her, hence why she bolts inside without a second's hesitation. She herself believes what she encountered was some kind of shapeshifter, and honestly, the fact that she had a genuine in-person reaction and that this doesn't carry any of the hallmarks of a staged video makes it a lot harder to brush off. So what do you think is going on here? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Brother and sister Josh and Crystal were in the middle of a hotel stay when something completely unexpected unfolded. something that convinced them the property was haunted by the ghost of a young boy. Determined to document it, they grabbed their phone and started recording in hopes of making contact and catching it on camera again.
I can see you. Come to me. Are you a little boy? It's okay. Come here. It's okay. I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but it looks like it's going like back and forth. You see a movie? See a movie? It's okay.
No,
It's
come
okay.
back, come back.
Where?
No, you come back. Go straight, look straight towards me. No, turn towards me like you were earlier. Put your back towards me.
A shadowy dark figure comes darting out of the small bathroom, right in the area where Josh and Crystal had been filming, leaving the two of them visibly rattled by what they'd just seen. They had assumed the boy's presence was somewhere outside the room, but it turned out he had been right there in the bathroom with them the whole time. The pair made plans to return and gather even more evidence, so with any luck, we'll be seeing a follow-up from them before long. The clips you're about to see come from a woman named Sandy, someone who has been on a spiritual path for quite a while and regularly visits churches to pray. A few days ago, she found herself at the Lady of Grace Catholic Church in Greensboro, North Carolina. She had wrapped up her prayers and was getting ready to head out, but before leaving, she stopped to light a couple of candles, and that's when she began hearing terrifying screams echoing through the church. Worried about what was going on, she went to investigate. Here's the footage she recorded. You can see a man screaming and hissing in an uncontrollable frenzy, while the people around him, Sandy included, began praying over him in an attempt to settle him down. At one point, a woman splashes holy water on him, which only seemed to intensify his behavior rather than help. People in the room grew increasingly alarmed that he might harm himself or someone nearby, so Sandy made the decision to call for the priest. After she posted the video, her followers had a lot of questions about what had actually gone down, so she came back with a follow-up to give more context about the whole ordeal.
I honestly don't know how it ended. I don't even remember him getting there. I feel like he just kind of appeared. Because once the priest tamed the entity, I decided it was my time to go. I didn't want to risk any type of eye contact.
She also noted that the man settled down somewhat once the priest showed up, but by that point she was already shaken to her core and chose to leave right away, deliberately avoiding any eye contact with him because she believes he was demonically possessed and didn't want to risk giving the entity a chance to seek out a new host. What unfolded after she left remains unclear. A large portion of her viewers are convinced the man was genuinely possessed, while others feel the episode could point to a serious medical or psychological condition. So where do you stand on this? And what would you have done if you were in that room? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Tucked away in the isolated Galloway Forest Park in southern Scotland sits a modest structure known as the White Lagan Bothy, originally built during the 19th century to serve as a shepherd's dwelling. It was converted in 1973 into a bothy, a no-cost, bare-bones refuge for walkers and travelers passing through. Over time, White Lagan has built up quite the reputation for strange and unsettling activity. Those who visited have reported things like doors swinging open with no explanation and chairs shifting around without anyone touching them. Some hikers describe the place as carrying a deeply uneasy atmosphere, particularly when you're there alone after dark. One content creator who goes by Happy Hippie Wild Living decided to take on the challenge and spend the night there. He trekked through the mountains and headed inside, looking forward to a warm place to rest. But the moment the sun disappeared, things took a decidedly sinister turn.
Bed for the night. Gonna get the fire on when it gets darker. There's normally loads of candles around, but they've all been burnt out. This will probably be me for most of the night now. I just get my music on, enjoy this beautiful fire, and then get back outside tomorrow in my hammock. I got one of them water filter straws, and it comes with 2 little bags as well, so you can attach the straw to that. But I've not got to use. Maybe this is the guests. There's no one there. I don't know if that's just some people with me or something. I don't know if that's something they do. But I don't think it would be that family if it was just a dad and his daughter and son. Oh well, we'll see. It was just knocking on the door again, and then I went out, but there was no one there. So I don't know what's going on, but I've not heard of any haunted bobbies or anything. I've never had weird shit. If you've watched all my videos before, you know I don't do shit like this. gonna be a fun night. I'm now walking around in the other room, and then I go in there, and it just stops. Maybe I just put my music on really loud and forget about it. I can't remember it.
He threw on some music in an attempt to drown out the spine-chilling sounds of something moving around inside the body. Somehow, against all odds, he actually managed to drift off to sleep. Come morning, this is what he had to say about the whole ordeal.
Experience last night, not really sure what was going on. Thought it was just people knocking the door and running away that were camping nearby, but it didn't seem like that when I went outside. Couldn't really explain what was happening next door with the noises, but I'm not really a believer in ghosts myself. It was a bit creepy, but I'm more of an alien guy. But if you are into ghosts and all that paranormal stuff, these are not the videos for you, because this is not what I do, this is not what I'm about. I'm just a happy hippie, hiking, living in nature, loving the world. I never have anything like this happen to me, so hopefully it's just a one-off. And
despite enduring what sounded like knocking at the door and ghostly footsteps circling around him in the dark, he somehow woke up grinning and didn't bolt straight into those hills, which is precisely where I would have been long before sunrise. Man who goes by Brad claims that shortly after settling into a new apartment, a series of strange occurrences began unfolding around him. Rather than feeling scared, he was drawn in by curiosity and started capturing these odd moments on camera. One particular evening, while he was unwinding in front of the TV, he noticed something deeply unsettling. See for yourself what his camera picked up. A tall, humanoid shadow stood motionless near the far edge of the room. It held its position for several long seconds before fading away entirely. Then, on a separate night, Brad encountered what appeared to be the same dark silhouette once more. He grabbed a flashlight and aimed it directly at the shape, but the moment the beam hit the area, the figure was simply gone. The most disturbing moment of all involved Brad's cat, which became completely transfixed by a closed door.
I've been watching that door for a while now. Oh. This apartment, man. Freakiest place I've ever been. Butter, get out here. Oh, I can't do it anymore.
The animal wouldn't tear its gaze away, behaving as though it could detect something moving on the other side. Then, right before Brad's eyes, the door began to slowly swing open by itself. He walked in to check the room, and it looked completely vacant, and yet he described an unmistakable feeling that something was still there with him. To this day, the footage continues to divide audiences on whether what Brad recorded was truly something paranormal. On January 1st, 2023, a YouTube channel called Van Life Adventures with Jack, run by its creator, Jack, posted this footage for his subscribers. What begins as a tranquil solo camping trip deep in the wilderness gradually unravels into a deeply unsettling ordeal that has Jack seriously doubting his own safety. He kicks things off by winding through the narrow, rain-drenched roads of the Scottish Highlands, reflecting on just how grueling winter camping can be. Despite his love of travel and exploration, he openly acknowledges that being out here alone in these conditions is no walk in the park. His destination is Castle Campbell, a historic hilltop landmark, and upon arriving he takes in the moody scenery and gets some drone footage in before turning his attention to finding somewhere to bed down for the night. Once darkness sets in, Jack pulls into a secluded spot and shuts everything down. The isolation hits immediately. No streetlights, no passers-by, no trace of civilization anywhere in sight. For a while, things feel perfectly calm. He sets up his sleeping area, puts on some music, and leans into the quiet solitude of the highlands. But as he tries to drift off, a slow, creeping unease starts to take hold. The first red flag arrives when Jack spots a vehicle parked nearby.
Somebody has parked the car. What the f?
Out here, this far from anywhere, another car showing up this late at night just doesn't add up. It sits completely still, and nobody steps out. The longer it idles there without explanation, the more his gut tells him something isn't right. He resolves to stay awake and keep watch. Then the sounds start. Faint, unexplained noises from just outside. Subtle hints of movement circling the car, yet nothing visible when he checks. And then his vehicle gives a slight, unmistakable shake, as if something, or someone, has made contact with it. Jack's nerves are absolutely shot at this point. He goes back and forth on whether to stay put or make a run for it. With no phone signal and zero means of reaching anyone for help, all he can really do is hunker down and wait for whatever is out there to move on. Then he catches a flicker of movement just beyond his window. The darkness swallows most of the detail, but it's more than enough to confirm he isn't out here by himself. That glimpse is the final straw.
If you can see me right now, there's guys playing music to my left. There's actually two cars. Another one pulled up as well, and I did not feel good about this at all. So I am getting the hell out of here. I don't know where I'm going to go yet, but this is so dangerous because I can't see nothing. I mean, this is where I am right now for context. You can see like...
He's done waiting around to see how this plays out. He starts throwing his gear together and gets ready to go. The moment his engine turns over, he clocks the other car, still sitting exactly where it was. He pulls away fast, eyes darting to the rearview mirror every few seconds to check whether anyone is behind him. Nothing follows, but by the time he's clear, the damage is done. He's thoroughly shaken. Come morning, he tries to piece it all together. Was the other car just a strange coincidence? He can't say for certain, but what he can say, without any doubt, is that this ranks among the most disturbing nights he's ever spent alone in the wild. As always, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. A TikTok creator, known as the Black Orchard Films, is a real estate agent who has previously recorded some remarkably convincing poltergeist encounters inside properties he was showing to potential buyers. Now, however, he suspects that something dark may have actually attached itself to him during one of those visits and is beginning to make itself known right inside his personal home.
Is it? Am I tripping or is that? There's someone sitting on my couch, but like, look, there's no one there. What? But like, there's no one there. There's no one on the couch.
As he aims his camera toward the blank TV screen, you can clearly make out the reflection of a shadowy figure seated completely motionless on his couch. Yet the moment he whips around to look directly at the couch, there is nobody there whatsoever. He continues shifting the camera back and forth between the television and the vacant couch, but he just cannot seem to catch the figure in the actual room. It only shows up in the unsettling. This next clip was first posted to TikTok on March 3rd, 2020, by a brother and sister named Josh and Crystal. The two were spending the night at a hotel when something unfolded that left them both completely at a loss. It's safe to say that whatever happened inside that room that day has never really left them.
I can see you. Come to me. Are you a little boy? It's okay. Come here. It's okay. I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but it looks like it's going like back and forth. You see movie?
Understandably, the pair were left thoroughly rattled. What appears to be a full-bodied shadow in the shape of a young boy seems to step out from the bathroom, right in the area where Josh and Crystal had been recording. What they assumed was lurking outside may have actually been standing right there with them the whole time.
No, you come back. Go straight, look straight towards me. No.
Whatever that childlike silhouette was, they're convinced it goes far beyond any rational explanation. What's your take on what was actually? Celia Ann is an up-and-coming writer who documents her journey toward publishing a book on social media, though she occasionally shares content that has nothing to do with her writing career. She grew up in a large Victorian house and frequently watches over her younger siblings on the nights her parents head out. It sounds simple enough, but the kids are constantly jolted awake by nightmares, and things got bad enough that they became firmly convinced their family home is haunted. One evening, Celia caught one of her brothers in the middle of a sleepwalking episode and pulled out her phone to capture it, hoping to show her parents what had been going on.
It's a person. It's Walter. It's a person. It's a guy. Walter, it's weird. Whoever gets Walter. God.
Her brother wanders around, talking and behaving as though he can see someone he keeps referring to as Walter. When Celia showed her parents the footage, though, the name meant nothing to them. Her brother insists he sees Walter throughout the house regularly, describing him as a figure in a top hat who stands and stares at him during the night. If that wasn't unsettling enough, just a few nights later, Celia managed to record something even harder to make sense of.
Shut the doors.
Oh yeah. They're shutting.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, show it so nobody can everybody can see that.
Oh wow, nice job. That's really good. Okay, can you try opening the doors? If it's too hard, we can help you. Yeah. Give it a little push. Can you please try pushing the doors open instead of shutting them? Wow, nice job. That's really impressive. Oh. Okay. Wait.
It's shutting. Good job.
The door swings shut completely on its own, and it happens only seconds after one of Celia's siblings asks Walter to close it. Shortly after, they ask for it to open, and just as if something is actually listening, it does. Celia is now starting to believe her younger siblings have been telling the truth all along. But according to her, Walter isn't the only presence in the house. Her siblings claim to have crossed paths with multiple spirits, and they've even attempted to make contact.
If you were the little girl singing last time, please turn the flashlight on.
It might not have been a little girl. Okay, you can turn the flashlight off now, okay? If there's a spirit here, can you please turn the flashlight on?
A flashlight switches on and off, as though something unseen is directly responding to the girls' questions. Rattled but curious, they decide to ask again, wondering if the first response was just a fluke. Once more, the flashlight flickers on right on cue. Celia Ann is now fully convinced that the old Victorian home her family grew up in is every bit as haunted as her siblings have been saying. But what do you think? Is there something genuinely supernatural going on in that house? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. On TikTok, a user named S. Luna uploaded a clip that sent shockwaves through her audience. This isn't your average piece of footage. What it captured managed to unsettle and intrigue people in equal measure. Out in a backyard garden, late at night, a security camera picks up something that has no easy explanation. A pale, see-through shape materializes without warning on the left side of the frame. It hovers there like a ghostly apparition, completely still, as though frozen between two worlds. before disappearing just as abruptly as it showed up, swallowed whole by the surrounding darkness. Nothing like this had ever been caught by that camera before, and its sudden presence left everyone watching with far more questions than they could answer. So what exactly was it? The restless spirit of someone long gone? Or could there actually be a rational explanation lurking behind this? He was completely alone on the job until something horrifying unfolded. This footage was captured by a night shift security guard at a shopping center somewhere in Mexico. According to the guard, he had recently begun noticing unsettling sounds coming from the building's kitchen area. On this specific night, at roughly 3 o'clock a.m., he heard yet another strange noise and decided to go check it out. And what followed left him absolutely shaken. See for yourself what the camera recorded.
3:20 de la mañana. Miren, y siento como que están moviendo las weas, como que las corren. Corrieron los pocillos de la sopa. Y acá atrás se escucha como que le pegaran a weas, como que las movieran. Vean, está entero rígido acá. Ayer había grabado lo mismo, pero hoy día es como que... Miren.
Without warning, several chairs began moving on their own in a deeply disturbing manner. Then a shopping cart standing right beside him started rolling by itself with no one near it. The guard was overcome with fear and bolted from the area immediately. He says that ever since that night, a sense of dread has followed him, and he no longer feels comfortable being there alone. He's been seriously considering walking away from the job altogether, and he's convinced the building is haunted. So what's your take on this? At a local gym, security footage captured a sequence of events that continues to split viewers between those convinced something paranormal occurred and those determined to find a logical reason for it. According to Carlos Ruiz, who released the clip, the footage was passed along to him by someone with direct access to the gym's original security system, and there's one particular detail that makes this case even more compelling. It all unfolded at approximately 3:45 in the afternoon, a time most people would never connect to anything supernatural. The facility was fully illuminated, the doors were open, and nothing about the scene initially suggested that anything alarming was on its way.
Adelantamos las cámaras ahí, bueno, ahí me está echando alcohol. Es que pasaron cosas muy extrañas, la madre. Hasta
¿Qué le pasó, papi?
Hasta una máquina se movió. Vea, mira, explíqueme eso. Vea,
Sí, eso
dos
porque
cuerdas
se
y...
mueve atrás.
¿Qué vas a ver, mamá? Y la otra quieta, o sea, no podemos decir que es el aire, ni que hay ventilación, ni nada de esas
Sí,
vainas.
eso es como
Y en
encerrado.
plena luz del día, ¿quién dice que estas maricadas pasan en plena luz del día? No, mire, la luz. Fue fruta. Mire. Y de esto hay una segunda toma, ahorita le muestro la segunda toma y hay cosas que no se ven en la primera. Échale ojo. Ahí, mira eso.
Uy, ¿eso qué pasó? ¿Por qué eso se
Y esa
mueve?
esa vaina es pesadísima, eso es pesadísimo.
¿Sí?
Sí, parece eso es una energía muy mala.
¡Ay, Dios mío! ¿Qué le pasó?
Mamá, mire.
No, Dios, no, no, eso no es normal.
Sí, yo sé
Eso
que-
no es normal, no.
Ya sé.
No es normal, hay que ir a un
Sí,
exorcismo o algo.
algún profesional que esté viendo este video o alguien que sepa el tema, por favor.
For the first several seconds, the footage looks completely unremarkable, but if you pay close attention, a strange figure can be spotted standing completely still in the background, almost as though it's observing every move the person exercising is making. Not long after that, things start to escalate. Battle ropes begin swinging on their own, an exercise ball shifts position without anyone near it, and ultimately, the person appears to get pulled across the floor in a way that's nearly impossible to dismiss. Some viewers have pointed to the open windows as a possible explanation for at least part of what's shown. But if wind were truly the cause, why do far lighter objects nearby stay completely undisturbed, while heavier ones start moving? The possibility of a staged video can't be entirely ruled out either. However, the sight of that person sprinting, visibly shaken, to the front desk to report what just happened makes that theory a lot harder to sell. Even with all of that considered, the moment the person gets yanked across the floor remains, for most who've watched it, the hardest thing to rationalize. Perhaps there's a completely reasonable explanation behind everything caught on tape, but if this footage proves anything, it's one thing most people tend to forget. Whatever is out there doesn't wait for the dead of night to make itself known. A group of teenagers in Seattle were using the Randonautica app when it directed them to a spot near the waterfront on a local beach. Upon arriving, they stumbled upon a mysterious suitcase sitting close to the shoreline.
A suitcase at the beach.
Gabby, go. I'll hold your stuff. I don't know.
Bro. Oh, wait, open it.
We were like, we're gonna find nothing.
Open it.
It was sweet.
It stinks, y'all.
It washed up. It's
Oh!
The moment they got near it, an awful odor was coming from inside, and the teens wasted no time calling the authorities.
Found a suitcase on the lawn.
Now here's where everything takes a genuinely disturbing turn. It was discovered that this small black suitcase was actually containing human remains. Law enforcement launched a full investigation, and due to platform guidelines, I'm not able to go into further detail beyond that. What I will say is that this incident is completely verified. This is not some staged stunt. This is not an elaborate setup designed to fool anyone. That is simply not up for debate. You can actually go and research this yourself, because multiple credible news organizations covered this story extensively. So ask yourself, was this pure coincidence, or is there something about Randonautica that goes a little deeper than anyone wants to admit? The unsettling footage you're about to see begins with a group of friends enjoying a day out in nature, when one of them notices something odd and pulls out a camera. What they had no idea was that their recording would crack open a deeply disturbing mystery, preserving something that was never meant to be witnessed. See for yourself.
All right.
How do you track them?
There's 2 more black dots. Cody.
How do you turn this on?
Oh, what the crap? Is that a guy? What the frick?
What the
What was that?
He's walking creepy.
Dude, that was a skinwalker. What?
Follow him.
I videoed it. What the frick?
I'm gonna go get my gun.
What can only be described as a massive, shirtless figure in a hurry appears to be lurking between the trees, almost as though it's deliberately concealing itself from the 2 bulls charging past, or perhaps stalking them. Naturally, the guys immediately jump to the skinwalker theory. 2 animals are bolting through the area, and then, without warning, something materializes right behind them.
Oh, what the crap? Is that a guy?
But one thing that's impossible to argue with is the sheer scale of this thing. Did these guys actually manage to catch a lightning-fast skinwalker on film? Or could it be something else entirely? The figure is staggering in size relative to the distance and the surrounding trees, and that's while it isn't even fully upright. So what exactly was it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. On the 1st of March, Tothin Kaiki, a woman by the name of Sarah Hughes, uploaded a clip of home security footage to her TikTok page that had been recorded late at night in her backyard in Bisbee, Arizona. Sarah explained that she got a notification from her Ring camera letting her know that a person had been detected outside. Since she wasn't expecting any visitors that evening, she pulled up the footage to see for herself. Here's what she discovered. Far off in the background, you can just barely distinguish what looks like a human-shaped silhouette drifting through Sarah's yard before eventually disappearing from the frame. The figure is quite a distance away, which makes it hard to pick out any real detail, though it's clear enough that the camera apparently registered it as a human presence. What gives the clip its intrigue is just how little information we have to work with. We never get a better look at the figure, and we never learn where it came from or where it ended up going. Predictably, people online have thrown out all kinds of explanations. Some are convinced the footage captures something supernatural. Others note that security cameras tend to make faraway subjects appear washed out, distorted, or eerie, particularly in the dark when infrared night vision kicks in. Without a sharper image, it's nearly impossible to say with any confidence what was actually recorded. To this day, Sarah claims she still has absolutely no clue what was wandering through her yard that night, and she's hoping someone on the internet can help her figure it out. So what's your take on what Sarah's security camera picked up? Was it just someone cutting through the area, or could there be something far stranger going on? During a still night in 2021, surveillance cameras in Armenia, Colombia, recorded a security guard being thrown against a wall and lifted off his feet by something completely invisible. The footage captures him getting hauled across the floor while he desperately tried to fight back. This all took place inside the local council building, which was nearly deserted at the time. Mayor Jose Manuel Rios Morales didn't brush it off. He actually called in religious figures to perform a cleansing of the premises. But the one thing nobody can quite answer is this: what exactly did that guard experience in those moments? The following video was recorded at night by a man inside his home, a dimly lit bedroom where his family had already settled in. Children on the bed, the woman trying to keep things calm when something none of them could place began filtering in from somewhere else in the house. The boy was frightened enough to beg his father not to leave. Watch.
Tranquilo, güey. Tranquilo, campeón. Tranquilo, ahorita voy a ver qué es.
No, papá, no salgas.
No hay nada, hijo, no hay nada. Ah, cabrón. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Qué quieres? Uy, te escucha ahí, se escucha.
When the man opens that bedroom door, a long, mournful wailing sound floods in from the darkness beyond, high-pitched, shifting in pitch like a lament. Something caught between human and something else entirely. He shouts into the dark, asking what it wants, and the sound slowly fades as he moves downstairs to investigate, finding nothing. For viewers familiar with Latin American folklore, that sound carries an immediate and chilling association. La Llorona, the weeping woman, a figure rooted deeply in Mexican and broader Latin American tradition, described as the spirit of a grieving mother who wanders at night, wailing for her lost children. The legend has existed for centuries, and the sound in this clip, mournful, shifting, coming from no visible source, is exactly the kind of thing people in these communities have associated with her for generations. Others think it could be something more generalized, a distressed spirit, or a residual haunting attached to the building itself. Skeptics would point to the possibility of an animal, a stray cat or dog, outside producing a distressed cry that echoed strangely through the walls, though the family's reaction, the raw fear in the boy's voice, makes that explanation harder to sit with. Another night in the same home, a static night vision security camera captured this. Take a look. a white rocking chair in the corner of the room begins to move on its own, slowly at first, then building to a full, forceful rhythm, rocking steadily for over 2 minutes, with nothing and no one near it. And around the 1 minute mark, a sudden burst of light flashes from the adjacent kitchen doorway, on and off in under a second, with no visible source. The chair doesn't even pause. Some viewers think a rocking chair moving on its own is one of the oldest and most personal symbols in paranormal cases, associated with the presence of the deceased, a grandmother, a mother, someone who used to sit there. Others aren't willing to go that far, noting that fishing line or a hidden mechanism could produce exactly that motion in low-resolution night vision. What's harder to explain away is the combination, the wailing in the dark, the child begging his father to stay, and then an empty room where something keeps rocking through the night. So what do you think is in that house? Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. The following footage was recorded with a baby monitor, high in a corner of a bedroom set up for a newborn. A woman with long blonde hair can be seen retrieving her swaddled baby from an adjoining room and carefully placing the infant into the co-sleeper beside her bed, bending over to adjust the swaddle and settle the baby down. Completely ordinary, completely routine. Watch. She's used this ball hundreds of times and never had this happen before. The second clip was captured during the day, this time from a low-angle stationary camera in a hallway, possibly a pet cam placed near the floor. Watch.
Wash my hands.
Listen carefully to the very beginning. Many viewers believe the recording captures what sounds like a man's voice speaking from somewhere inside the house. According to the woman who shared the clip, she was simply on her way to wash her hands when the camera picked up the sound. She also made one important point. Although she was home with her children, there were no adult men inside the house. Naturally, some people believe the voice is nothing more than distorted background audio. Security cameras often compress sound in unusual ways, and televisions, neighbors, or even conversations from outside can sometimes seem much closer than they actually are. Others hear something far more unsettling. Electronic voice phenomena, better known as EVP, is a phenomenon discussed in paranormal circles where faint voices are believed to appear on recordings despite not being clearly audible at the time. Whether these sounds are genuine anomalies, audio artifacts, or simply the brain trying to recognize speech in random noise, remains highly debated. Taken separately, neither clip proves anything, but together, an object moving where it never had before, and an unexplained voice inside a house where no man was present. It's easy to understand why the family started paying much closer attention to what their cameras were capturing. Now in this next clip, a young man has been lying awake in his bedroom listening to something he can't explain. A rhythmic, persistent knocking coming from somewhere inside his house, loud enough that he grabs his phone in the middle of the night to document it, because he says every time he tries to tell someone, they don't believe him. The night is cold, cold enough that you can see his breath the moment he steps outside, and he's been hearing this same sound since earlier that morning. He checks on his dog, walks through the house, and eventually makes his way out into the dark backyard, pointing his phone toward an exterior wall where he insists the knocking is coming from. He's clearly shaken. His voice is unsteady as he talks to the camera, and you can hear the edge in it when he says he can't stop hearing it from his room. He pans slowly toward the barbecue grill at the back of the yard, stepping further into the darkness. Watch.
Capto fantasma en video.
No, chicos, yo voy a filmar esto porque después me dicen que es mentira. Ustedes escuchan ese ruido, ¿no? Porque... Pará, no puede ser. Quiero que vean la hora que es de la mañana. Hace un frío afuera. Quiero que vean. Ahí, de acá viene el ruido, desde hoy lo estoy escuchando. Hace un frío ahora. Miren, acá está el asador, el pasillo.
¡Ey!
¿Qué carajo, boludo? Quiero que vean. Porque posta no se dejan de escuchar esos ruidos desde mi pieza, boludo. Nah.
Just above and behind the grill, a translucent, whitish, vaporous shape materializes in the air, faint but distinct against the dark background, with a silhouette that's close enough to humanoid to stop you cold. He shouts and runs toward it, and the shape dissolves as he closes the distance. He sweeps the camera around the empty space where it was. Nothing there. Then the camera finds the child's swing set, standing motionless on the lawn, and it starts to move. A slow sway, then a full back and forth motion, as if something invisible has just settled into the seat. His breathing is the only sound until a sudden sharp bang hits from somewhere off camera, and the footage cuts. Some viewers think the vapor could be a cold air breath plume caught by the phone camera at a distance, a reasonable explanation given how visible his own breath was. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the shape appeared well above the grill and held a form that's hard to explain away as ambient condensation. And the swing didn't stop when he ran toward the first figure. It started after. So what exactly was still out there with him? Now in this next clip, a man is pulling into his own driveway, a completely ordinary afternoon, when something across the yard stops him cold. He's got his phone out and he's already filming as he notices the detached shed on the property, its blue double doors hanging wide open. He hadn't left them that way. He starts narrating out loud, the way you do when your brain is trying to make sense of something before it fully registers what's wrong. Watch.
I'm pulling into the house, grab the phone, look at that windows wide open door. No. There's some there. That is 100% a person in my shed. Yo, that's my shed. That is a person in my shed. Hey, dude. Okay, that's a school. That's somebody in the shed. Yo, hey, who was in here? 100% saw that. Yo. Hey. I saw something on the ring camera. I see movement. Who's up here? Hey, come on. Is somebody up here? Hey. Come on, man. Please. I will 100% call the police. I'm not kidding. Hey there. Yo. Come on, man. I'm calling the police. If somebody is in here, the police will be here in 5 minutes. Do you hear me? And you Hey, come on. You're done. I'm telling you. Okay. Okay. All right. Look, that's fine.
The left side of that shed door swings shut, hard, with a slam that cuts him off mid-sentence. What follows is roughly a minute and a half of shaky, breathless footage as he sprints across the lawn, pushes the door open, and starts searching the cluttered interior, shouting into corners and up toward a dark, square opening in the ceiling where a wooden ladder leads to an attic. An object then crashes down from that opening, loud, sudden, completely unprompted. And if you watch that last few seconds carefully, just before he bolts, a pair of bright, glowing blue eyes stare down at him from the darkness of the attic. That's when he runs. Now, a shed door slamming in wind is one thing. A door that's been standing wide open for long enough to notice suddenly swinging shut with force is a harder sell. Some viewers are convinced there's an animal up in that attic, a large cat or a raccoon with reflective tapetum, which could explain the eye shine. Others aren't so sure, pointing out the force behind that initial slam and the way the object drops, almost deliberately. He called the police after this. Whatever was up there, he wasn't willing to find out alone. This next clip was recorded by a woman staying at an Airbnb with her kids, a family trip that turned unsettling in the middle of the night. She's already in bed, TV on, when something pulls her out of the room. She says she heard a voice call for her, a child's voice saying "Mom," and since her kids are supposed to be asleep, she grabs her phone and starts walking. She checks the bedroom downstairs first, where her teenage daughter and son are in their bunks with the dog, and neither of them called her. She heads up to the living room next, where a third kid, another teenage boy, is fast asleep on the couch, completely out. She's standing at the top of the stairs, satisfied nobody's up, when it happens again. Watch.
I'm staying in this Airbnb.
Who says I'm judging you? You are.
Oh my god. Can you hear noises this whole time? I just heard somebody say "Mom." My kids are supposed to be asleep. So... Guys, did y'all call me? Did y'all say "Mom"? I heard "Mom," dude. I'm gonna check on John. I could have sworn I heard somebody say "Mom." He's locked down. TV's not even on. Shut the dude. What? Did y'all come out and don't lie?
No, we did not.
I'm gonna have to sleep with y'all.
Why?
Something's going on. Okay, yeah, I'm done.
Still trying to make sense of it, she returns to her children and asks them directly if anyone had gotten up or called for her. They all insist they never left their rooms, yet after she shared the footage, some viewers noticed something else. Several claimed they could make out what appeared to be a small childlike figure hiding. If that's what they really saw, it couldn't have been any of her children. They had all been accounted for before, during, and after the voice was heard. Many paranormal enthusiasts believe this kind of encounter resembles what's known as a mimic, an entity said to imitate familiar voices in an attempt to draw someone toward a particular location. Reports often involve a loved one calling for help, hearing a child's voice in an empty house, or someone answering from a room that turns out to be vacant. Whether it was an oddly timed coincidence, a child hidden somewhere the camera never caught, or something using a familiar voice to get her attention, one thing is certain. After that second call, she wasn't the only one listening. This next clip was filmed at night inside a couple's living room. A woman with long brown hair sitting up on the couch, laughing while pulling a prank on her boyfriend, who's half asleep under a blanket, telling her to stop. She's holding her phone to her ear, completely unaware that something else might be in the room with them. Watch.
Get away from me. Hello? Fucking, what am I doing? I'm trying to fucking sleep. Stop, dude.
At first, nothing seems out of place, but when the footage is zoomed in on the mirror hanging behind the couple, a hand with unnaturally long, thin fingers and elongated nails. It isn't next to either of them, and if it really is a hand, it doesn't seem to belong to anyone visible in the room. Some viewers immediately suggested it could simply be an optical illusion, a combination of reflections, furniture, or the woman's own hand caught at an unusual angle. Mirrors are notorious for creating misleading images, especially in low light. Others weren't convinced. Throughout paranormal folklore, mirrors have often been described as symbolic thresholds, objects believed by some traditions to blur the boundary between the physical world and something beyond it. Reports of unexplained faces, hands, or figures appearing only in reflections have been shared for generations, though none have ever been conclusively verified. Whether this was a trick of perspective, a perfectly timed reflection, or something that only revealed itself in the mirror, one question has kept viewers replaying the footage. If that hand wasn't theirs, whose was it? The following video was captured by a man's camcorder about 12 years ago, and according to him, that moment completely changed how he viewed reality, opening him up to the unsettling possibility that the line between the living and whatever exists beyond it may not be as clear as we assume. At the time, he lived along Tetagouche River Road, a place that, while quiet on the surface, had long been surrounded by uneasy local stories, including reports of shadowy figures appearing near the tree line at dusk, unexplained sounds echoing through the woods late at night, and the persistent feeling among residents that certain parts of the area were being watched even when no one was there. While these accounts were often brushed off as exaggerations or imagination, they were consistent enough to make people cautious, especially after dark. On a Tuesday afternoon, however, he experienced something that didn't feel like a story anymore, because with his camcorder running, he unintentionally recorded something that would later leave him with more questions than answers. Watch. first, the footage appears completely normal, showing a quiet outdoor setting with nothing immediately drawing attention. But as you continue watching closely, a figure can be seen standing in the distance, positioned in a way that suggests it had been there the entire time without being noticed. What makes this moment unsettling is not just the presence of the figure, but the way it remains completely still before suddenly disappearing within seconds, without any visible movement, transition, or attempt to leave the frame in a natural way. Moments like this are difficult to explain because there is no clear indication of someone walking away, hiding, or blending into the surroundings, which raises questions about whether what was captured was even a person to begin with. Some believe this could be connected to the history of the area, possibly a residual presence tied to past events, appearing briefly as part of an imprint left behind in the environment. Even now, years later, what he captured that afternoon continues to stand as one of those moments that feels too clear to dismiss, and like many cases tied to places with lingering stories, it remains unresolved. This next video captures a terrifying late-night experience inside a man's home, around 2 a.m., a time when everything is supposed to be quiet, predictable, and still. On this particular night, however, a loud, sudden bang echoes through the house, startling his dog, Frechol, and immediately pulling him out of whatever sense of normalcy he had left. For the past month, he has been dealing with a series of strange and increasingly difficult-to-ignore occurrences, including disembodied voices that seem to come from no clear direction, and moments where he feels something disturbingly close to him, as though someone or something is breathing right near his neck. While he had tried to rationalize these experiences at first, questioning his own perception, and wondering if stress or imagination could be playing a role, the consistency of these moments had already begun to wear down that explanation. So when he hears the bang that night, he grabs his phone, determined to finally capture proof that what he has been experiencing is real. Watch.
Hola. Ay, chinga tu madre. No mames.
As he moves toward the source of the noise, the camera begins to pick up something that immediately stands out, a pair of small hands appearing from a position where no one should be, their size and shape resembling that of a child. However, as he gets closer, the face that comes into view does not match the innocence suggested by those hands. That moment was enough for him to stop questioning everything he had experienced before. For now, he has chosen to leave the house temporarily, putting some distance between himself and whatever might still be inside, while sharing his experience in the hope that someone, somewhere, might be able to offer an explanation or even help him understand what he's dealing with. The following clip is about a man named Daniel Thompson, who occasionally returns to spend a few days at the family home where he and his sister grew up, a place that, despite the familiarity it should bring, has always left him with an uneasy feeling. One of the reasons he points to is his mother's unusual hobby, because over time she filled the house with a wide range of antiques, dolls, puppets, and other strange items collected from flea markets, thrift stores, and estate sales, many of which came with unknown histories. While most of these objects blended into the background, one in particular always stood out to him, a dollhouse that sat in his sister's room and consistently gave him a feeling he couldn't shake. Eventually, the discomfort became strong enough that they decided to move the dollhouse out of the room entirely, hoping that changing its location would ease whatever tension they felt around it. Watch what happened next.
Okay, it's official. I'm getting rid of this. The mini figurines are moving. Like what?
After Daniel shared this footage, many people began to suggest that the issue might not have been the dollhouse itself, but rather the space it was moved into, because it had been placed in a storage room, an area that was already enclosed, quiet, and rarely used, which some believe could amplify or even trigger certain kinds of activity. Taking that into account, they decided to move the dollhouse back into his sister's room, expecting that returning it to its original place might settle whatever was happening. But instead, something else began. Watch.
Guys. Do you hear that? Those are the tapping noises I was talking about. Knocking at the door. Hello?
Daniel explains that almost every time he walks past that room now, he hears a faint knocking sound coming from inside, subtle but consistent enough to stand out. And for reasons he can't fully explain, he is convinced that the sound is coming directly from the dollhouse itself, rather than anywhere else in the room. At that point, the situation becomes harder to pin down, because if the activity followed the object, then it suggests the dollhouse may be the source, but if moving it into the storage room intensified things, then the environment may have played a role as well, leaving open the possibility that both the object and the space are somehow connected. So what exactly is going on here? You be the judge. Now this next clip was recorded at Pidhurtsky Castle, a historic site that has gained a reputation not only for its architecture, but also for the unsettling stories that have surrounded it for decades. Built in the 17th century, the castle has long been associated with reports of paranormal activity, with visitors and locals alike claiming to have experienced unexplained footsteps, sudden drops in temperature, and sightings of a mysterious figure often described as a woman dressed entirely in white. Some legends trace this presence back to tragic events tied to the castle's past, suggesting that whatever is being seen may be connected to unresolved history lingering within its walls. In this video, a man and his friends decide to explore the castle for themselves, but throughout their time inside, they begin to notice something that immediately puts them on edge, a repeated feeling that someone is moving through the rooms. Instead of dismissing it, they decide to try something more deliberate. When they got outside, they positioned their camera to capture a full view of the castle's windows, and caught this on camera.
Турецкий замок. Дивіться, яка краса. Супер. Такої з архітектури нема. Ух, ніфіга собі. Андріана! Андріана!
In the footage, a figure in white can be seen moving across one of the windows. After this video was posted, it didn't take long for others who had visited the castle to come forward with their own experiences, sharing stories of seeing similar figures, hearing unexplained sounds, or feeling an overwhelming sense that they were not alone while inside. So if you've ever been to this place, drop a comment. The following video shows what one family has been dealing with ever since they casually decided to play with a Ouija board, an experience that, at the time, felt harmless and almost entertaining, but quickly became something they now associate with the beginning of a series of disturbing events inside their home. Now, if you were to ask the wife why she is constantly cleaning, rearranging, and trying to keep everything in order, it is not simply out of habit, but because of this.
Hell no. Stop with me. Stop with me right now. What the? Baby! Leave us alone!
In the footage, a bottle that had been on the table suddenly falls to the floor in a way that doesn't resemble an accidental slip, but instead looks as though it was lifted and dropped. Almost immediately after, a loud banging sound echoes from the direction of the door. Then the door closes on its own, followed by a bowl that had been sitting on the table beginning to slide before eventually falling. Situations like this often lead to speculation about whether the Ouija board may have played a role in triggering or inviting whatever is now present, especially since many believe that such tools are not just games, but methods of communication that, if not handled carefully, can open the door to something unknown. For now, the family is left trying to live around something they don't understand, holding on to routines and small comforts while sharing their experience in the hope that someone might recognize what they're dealing with. But for now, this remains unsolved. This next video was recorded inside the historic Snyder House, a location that has quietly built a reputation among urban explorers and paranormal enthusiasts for the kind of activity that doesn't always make itself obvious at first, but tends to linger in ways that are difficult to ignore. The house is often described as abandoned, yet strangely preserved, with certain rooms still containing old furniture, mirrors, and personal items that give the unsettling impression that life there may have stopped suddenly, rather than naturally fading over time. In this video, a group of explorers enters the Snyder house, hoping to document its condition and possibly capture something unusual. But what they record ends up raising more questions than they expected. Watch. If you look closely, you'll see a figure. But what makes the moment particularly unsettling is how quickly that figure disappears. Moments like this tend to stand out in places like the Snyder house, because they align with the kinds of reports that have been shared over time. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his one in one of the most feared and talked about locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail, hoping to finally understand why so many unexplained incidents are still being reported there. For years, people have reported sightings of what they describe as a little person moving in the basement. Some believe it's the spirit of a former inmate, trapped and unable to leave, but others strongly disagree. They claim what's down there isn't paranormal at all. They believe it's something alive that hides and watches. Watch.
I kind of don't like having my back turned to those. Hello? Is there anybody down here? Well, they say that this hole is a portal that spirits can enter. If this is indeed a portal to the spirit world, could you come up out of that hole? Float upward towards me. Little person? Are you down here? Are there any prisoners down here? This is where they kept the worst of the worst. Oh.
After hearing that sound, Ian immediately freezes, listening carefully, trying to determine where it came from. Going down there alone didn't sound like a good idea, especially knowing the stories. So instead, Ian decided to wait, hoping to catch even the slightest movement that could explain what he just heard. And then, after a while, he sees this.
Whoa, 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 what did I just see? What did I just see? I just seen something on the ground. Holy crap. It didn't look like a person though.
For a brief moment, something appears small and low to the ground. Determined to finally uncover the truth, he slowly makes his way deeper into the basement, stepping toward the exact area where the figure had appeared. Watch.
Another corner. Oh God. Oh my God. It is so scary down here. Oh. I don't see anything over here. Creepy crawl space. Oh. I am not going in there. No. The person? Are you in there? What if it snatches my arm? I hear you. He's gotta be down here. Oh.
fucking rock just got thrown at me.
Suddenly, rocks are thrown in his direction, almost like a warning meant to stop him from going any further. And that realization alone is enough to make him think that he may not be alone in that basement after all. The following video was captured by a man who had already grown used to being woken up in the middle of the night by things he couldn't explain, to the point where it had become a routine, something he no longer questioned immediately, but instead documented, almost as if he knew that whatever was happening would eventually show itself on camera. Before this night, he had been dealing with faint knocks at odd hours, objects shifting slightly out of place, and moments where he would wake up feeling like someone had just been standing over him, watching, only for the room to be completely empty when he fully opened his eyes. Over time, it became harder to ignore, especially when he started hearing low sounds at night, scratching, dragging, and at times something that almost resembled breathing, close enough to feel real, but never visible long enough to confirm. So when it happened again that night, when a loud sound suddenly pulled him out of sleep, he reached for his phone, hoping to finally catch something clear enough to explain it all. What he captured instead only made things worse. Watch. The door creaks open first, slow and deliberate, with no one near it. Then a small black creature lunges onto the bed directly at him, letting out a shriek that doesn't sound like anything domestic, followed by a deep growl. Many would immediately label something like this as a demonic presence, and in many reported cases, it's said that when something like this begins to feel comfortable within a space, when it's no longer hiding or limiting itself to small signs, it can escalate even further, sometimes attempting to influence or even possess the person living there. In this next clip, a man in Chihuahua, Mexico, had been running a studio space he'd been using for work. A cluttered, horror-decorated room filled with vintage masks, a porcelain doll, and a large, ornate mirror. He'd already lost a week's worth of security footage because the cloud trial on his camera system expired before he could save anything locally. Then, on a Tuesday night, while he was away recovering from an eye injury, his security camera triggered a movement alert at 9:10 p.m. He ignored it at first. It wasn't until Thursday that he finally came back to check, and that's when things got harder to dismiss. Watch. The security camera, the kind set to tracking mode, begins panning slowly across the empty room on its own, as if following something invisible. Then, a door that was slightly ajar in the background swings fully shut with deliberate, unhurried force. The doll by your right also moved without anyone in sight touching it. When the man arrives with his handheld camera that same night, he walks to a corner of the floor near the desk, a floor he says he'd left spotless, and points the light downward. Have a look.
Un poco. Yo había dejado limpio. Y hay unas huellas ahí. Esos días hizo bastante frío, hizo mucho frío. Bueno, para que alguien anduviera descalzo, lo dudo mucho. Para la gente de aquí de Chihuahua sabe que no se puede andar uno descalzo en la calle. Y luego miren, yo calzo del 9. Ese pie es enorme, está muy grande. No es mi pie. O sea, la verdad sí está muy grande el pie. Y le digo, oí pasos.
A large, dirty, barefoot print on the floor. He holds his own shoe next to it for comparison. He wears a size 9, and the print is noticeably bigger, both in length and width. There was no sign of forced entry, so from that point on, the debate around what's causing all of this only intensified. Some people are convinced the activity is tied to a large mirror he brought into the studio. According to him, the strange occurrences began almost immediately after the mirror arrived. In paranormal belief, mirrors are often considered portals, reflective surfaces believed to thin the boundary between spaces. Many cultures warn that mirrors can act as gateways, allowing entities to observe, attach, or even pass through. If that's the case here, it could explain the sense of being watched, the movement being tracked, and the idea that something is present without fully manifesting. But others believe the mirror isn't the source, it's the doll. Dolls act as vessels, not necessarily haunted at first, but capable of housing or attracting a presence over time. The fact that the doll moves during the footage and that disturbances seem more physical, doors slamming, objects shifting, leads many to think the doll is what's anchoring whatever is inside that studio. And then there are those who think it isn't one or the other, but both. Some believe the mirror may have opened the door, and the doll became the place where whatever came through decided to stay. Until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. Now in this next clip, a couple decides to do something many people would strongly advise against. Sitting together in a darkened room, candles flickering around them as they place their hands on a Ouija board and ask whatever might be listening to make itself known. Watch. Before this moment, they had already experienced strange activity in their old apartment, which was located right next to a hospital, a detail that, for many people, immediately raises questions, because places like that are often associated with intense emotional energy, loss, and unresolved moments that some believe can linger. They reported hearing unexplained sounds, feeling watched, and noticing subtle disturbances they couldn't explain, which led them to wonder if something might have attached itself to them. So when they moved into their new place, instead of leaving it behind, they made a decision that would change everything, using the Ouija board to find out if whatever they had experienced before had followed them into this new home. Watch.
Anybody there? Is anybody there? Can you give us a sign? Can you give us a sign? Oh my god. There's no way. There's no way. Dude, there's nobody in here. There's nobody in here. What is going on? Oh.
Some viewers believe this confirms their fear, that something from their old apartment may have stayed with them, something that didn't leave when they moved. But others argue something far more unsettling, that it wasn't about something following them at all, but about what they may have invited in at that exact moment by choosing to use the board. And that's where the situation takes a more serious turn. because people familiar with how these sessions are traditionally handled were quick to point out a critical mistake, something that might seem small but carries heavy implications in paranormal belief: the fact that they removed their hands from the planchette without properly closing the session or saying goodbye. According to those beliefs, that final step isn't optional. It's meant to close whatever line of communication has been opened. By skipping it, many believe they didn't just stop the session, they left it unfinished, leaving what some describe as an open doorway, something that doesn't simply close on its own. On another day, they decided to do it again.
Is anybody there? Is anybody there? No.
We have to get out. We have to get out. Moments like this are often used as examples when people talk about the risks tied to using a Ouija board, not because of what is guaranteed to happen, but because of what can happen when boundaries aren't understood or respected. The idea isn't just that something might respond, but that once that line is opened, it may not always be clear what exactly is responding, or whether it intends to leave when you're done. And that's the part many people overlook, because it's not always about whether something followed them from before. Sometimes it's about what they may have invited in, without fully understanding how to send it back. This next video was recorded by a man who has been documenting what he describes as an increasingly aggressive haunting inside his home. And by the time this footage begins, he's already terrified before he even reaches the bottom of the stairs. It started with smaller disturbances, noises in the night, his dog refusing to behave normally downstairs, a growing sense that whatever was in the house was no longer passive. He blames the spirits for recent bad luck in his life, including a car accident, and on this particular night, he grabs his phone and heads downstairs because something has set his dog off again. Watch.
Nouvelle vidéo, on entend vibrer mon chien, c'est énervé d'un coup. Devient catastrophique. Les esprits deviennent agressifs. Oui, j'arrive, ma fille. Et puis, c'est qui me porte la poisse. Là, il y a 2 jours, les gendarmes m'ont rentré dans la voiture. Elle était devant chez moi, mais la voiture est épave. Beaucoup de chance. Beaucoup de chance. Et l'excuse, c'est le keuf avait une poussière dans l'œil. Vous y croyez, vous? Ben, moi, malheureusement. Oh putain, c'est quoi ce bordel encore, putain. Ça ne fait que ça, c'est incroyable. On essaie de trouver des solutions, mais il n'y a rien qui marche. Cherche, mon chien, cherche. Il y a quelque chose? Oh putain! Ça devient bizarre. What the... Oh putain, ça m'a piqué. Ah! Putain, c'est quoi ça? Mais c'est quoi ce délire? C'est quoi ce délire, putain de merde? Oh là là. Putain, c'est quoi ce délire? Putain de merde. Ça devient n'importe quoi ce baraque. Si vous avez des idées, des conseils. Ah, des idées, des conseils, je suis preneur. Honnêtement, ça... Oh putain, c'était quoi ça? Oh fuck off. Oh sa mère. C'était quoi ça, putain? C'était quoi cette merde? Fille. Ah, putain. Ah, fille. Qu'est-ce qui t'arrive? Non. Non. Mais non. C'est quoi ce délire? Mais c'est quoi ce délire, putain de ça? C'est quoi ce voix de sa mère? Putain. Sa mère.
He claims to feel fingers pressing along his spine, then shouts out in pain as the camera lurches violently, as if something struck him. Then it got worse. The television switches on by itself, blasting loud, dramatic music into the dark room, and his dog stands near the glass door with her tail tucked, too frightened to move. He uses the remote to shut it off, but within minutes, it turns back on, this time changing channels and raising its own volume while the remote sits on the floor in front of it. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe a type of disturbance associated with physical force and object manipulation rather than a simple haunting. But the man's response to all of this is what makes the second clip even more unsettling, because rather than leave, he keeps confronting it. Watch.
Prochaine vidéo, j'ai décidé de me battre contre cette chose malveillante.
Horrible. Ça fait un moment que j'ai pas fait de vidéo, mais là ça empire. De jour en jour. Des marques, des griffes. C'est insupportable. Putain. Ah, c'est toi qui me fais peur. Alors, il y a quelqu'un? Putain, c'est insupportable. Putain. Putain, c'est quoi cette merde encore? Non, mais c'est pas possible.
He descends the same staircase again, speaking in a tense, hushed voice, saying things are getting worse day by day. Marks, scratches, unbearable. His dog startles him in the dark. Then a loud bang erupts from somewhere off camera. The camera whips sideways, and from inside a closed toy chest, a child's musical melody begins playing on its own. He opens the lid. The music cuts off the moment he slams it shut. For some viewers, a toy activating inside a sealed chest with no one near it lands differently than anything electronic. It feels deliberate, like something announcing itself. And if that's true, the question isn't whether it's still down there, it's whether it ever planned to stop. Now in this next clip, a man is riding his motorcycle alone down a dark, isolated road at night, heading to a wedding, when something on the roadside stops him cold. At that hour, there's usually nothing to see except the road ahead, so when something appears in the distance, it immediately stands out. Watch.
Fuck, man. Oh, fuck, basket! Oh, shit! Oh, shit, man! Oh, shit, man! Oh!
As his headlight stretches forward, it catches the outline of a figure walking along the road, tall, pale, and unnaturally still in the way it carries itself, not reacting to the approaching motorcycle, not stepping aside, just continuing forward, like it doesn't even acknowledge him being there. And that's where it starts to feel wrong. Some viewers believe what he encountered could have been a ghost, the kind often described in roadside sightings, figures that appear briefly, usually at night, sometimes tied to past accidents or tragedies, known to show up without warning and disappear just as quickly, leaving the person who saw them questioning what they just experienced. So if you were riding down that same road, alone, and that figure appeared in your headlights, would you slow down and try to understand what you're looking at? Or would you keep going and not look back? Now, in this next video, a man claims that every single night when he returns to his home, something is already there waiting for him, and he decides to prove it. The building itself looks abandoned in stretches, a barrack-style structure at the end of a dark gravel path, lit only by a single street lamp overhead. One night, he hears footsteps like someone running around the house. Shortly after, this happens.
I don't know what that was, so I'm gonna set up my camera here. I can watch down the hallway.
Some viewers believe this kind of activity points directly to a poltergeist, but until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved.